Last week, the US government sued Amazon because they think some things that Amazon does might not be allowed by the law. Today, in this video, we'll talk about what these things are and why these things might be legal. I am Ankur, and you're listening to the News Park. The government group that checks these things that we talked about is called the Federal Trade Commission, which looks at many things. But for Amazon, they found two important things that it does in the background. One is the buy now button when you buy things on Amazon, and the other is the super fast delivery that you get with Amazon Prime. Now, these things that people like are the main reason why the government is taking legal action against Amazon. The government claims that Amazon is using highly advanced methods to unfairly keep control of the market. Now, this is the central point of their argument. Beyond the things that we all notice, there's a strong influence not only on the sellers using Amazon's platform, but also on the entire internet. Now, let's talk about the buy now button and how government believes Amazon has used it in a way that it's not fair. Now, first, it's important to know that a lot of stuff we buy on Amazon isn't sold by Amazon itself. It's sold by other companies and brands that use Amazon's website to sell their products. As a shopper, you might not even realize this because you mainly see these big orange and yellow buttons that say buy now and add to cart. Or they might offer you things like free delivery or fast shipping if you order soon. This whole setup is called the buy box. The government claims that Amazon has used this buy box and those buttons to prevent other websites from offering lower prices. But how does that work? So what they are saying is that Amazon wants to make sure their prices are the lowest. They do this by checking other websites to see if the same product is cheaper anywhere else. If they find it even a penny cheaper, they punish the seller. They do this by taking away the big buy now and add to cart buttons you usually see when shopping. Instead, they replace them with a plain black and white button that says see all buying options. I'm pretty sure you might have seen that. It's not very inviting or encouraging to buy. You might have come across a page like this and it can be confusing. You wonder how to even buy the item because it looks like it's not available, even though it actually is. Amazon regularly checks to see if its sellers are also selling their products on other websites for a cheaper price. If it finds this happening, Amazon kind of punishes that product and the seller on its own platform. They make it hard for you to buy their stuff by removing the buy now button. For many sellers, Amazon is where they sell a big part of their stuff. So if the buy button goes away, they sell a lot less. Then sellers have two options. They can either raise their prices on the website or lower their prices on Amazon. In the complaint against Amazon, the FTC claims that Amazon is aware that sellers often increase their prices on other websites. For most sellers, Amazon is where they make most of their sales. So, because of this feature that limits them, their sales drop dramatically, almost to zero. And so, they then scramble and they email the other website and say, please take the listing down immediately because we cannot afford to lose any sales on Amazon. So we clearly see that Amazon's decision to remove the buy now button is so meaningful that the sellers take their product off the rival website once they lose that button. It doesn't just raise the price, it says, oh, I can't even do business with you anymore, which suggests just how powerful this tactic of removing the buy button really is. Also, there are sellers who don't even list on other websites at all because they're like, it's not worth losing my sales on Amazon. And so the complaint against Amazon is saying this has an effect across the internet of preventing discounting. Amazon may have the lowest price, but it's actually raising the cost across websites because Amazon is essentially policing what people sell elsewhere. Amazon is basically preventing deals from happening elsewhere, which effectively means it has almost sole control over the price in the entire market. That's what the FTC is alleging. And if you know anything about antitrust law, what we are describing here sounds a lot like something that is anti-competition and anti-consumer choice. Now let's move on to the second example that we mentioned, Amazon Prime, perhaps even better known than the Buy Now button. Everyone enrolls in it seemingly because you get really good deals and you get them delivered in insanely fast ways. How does the government say that Prime is being abused here? They're really focusing on the shipping component of the Prime. That Prime is this membership program that an estimated 170 million Americans have. So this is most adults in America. And Prime works because people love Prime, right? And there's this idea at Amazon, people love great selection, great prices, and fast delivery. They will always love those things. And you focus on that, and you have this flywheel, this virtuous circle that consumers love. But where's the problem? So the way Amazon has done this is by building all of their logistics infrastructure, warehouses, delivery vans, those vans you see driving down your street all the time. Yes, we are talking about that infrastructure. And the FTC is saying that they basically force sellers to use their logistic operations. Basically, to get that check mark, to get it to say that this is a Prime product, the sellers have to pay Amazon to use this program called Fulfillment by Amazon. They have to use Amazon's warehouse. So they send their product to Amazon. Amazon puts it through all these buildings. When you click buy, pretty much immediately it gets put in a box and put on a truck and to your house. And it's doing that faster and faster every single day. But if you don't use Amazon's logistics, you don't use their warehouse, then you don't get that check mark. You're not Prime eligible, and then your sales are going to tank because customers are looking for that. We have seen that time and again, and so sellers know that. And it's very hard to build a business on Amazon if you don't ship through Amazon. So if you're a seller, this isn't really feeling like that much of a choice. You're basically being compelled to use Amazon's vast logistics system, or you're going to be locked out of half of America's buying habits, which are Amazon Prime. And sellers say the more you get into Amazon logistics, the more you are into the whole Amazon system. The harder it is, the more complicated, the more expensive it can be to sell elsewhere. Because so much of your sales are on Amazon that you then all of a sudden to have to set up a whole different supply chain and figure out different warehouses just gets so much more complicated. Some sellers basically decide, this is so much of work, this is so much of headache, I'm only going to sell on Amazon, which then calls back to our earlier conversation about the buy button. So what we are describing here collectively is just a tremendous amount of control. Amazon has so much scale, so many orders it's delivering, it can deliver them really efficiently, really quickly. And that's incredibly hard to compete with now. If you look at the number of warehouses, the number of drivers, the speed of their delivery, it's unsurpassed. I mean, it's incredible. And so what we as consumers have come to understand as Amazon's brilliance, its ability to be so fast and so cheap, this is why we all use it. What the FTC is saying is it's actually built on a couple of tactics that ultimately are deterrent for sellers. And that there's a broader effect on consumers. That it has an effect on both raising prices and an effect of limiting our choices because there aren't many other places that can viably compete with Amazon anymore. So as you can imagine, Amazon and their lawyers have a very robust defense to this lawsuit. So when you talk about that buy now button, the buy box, Amazon says, why in the world should we show our consumers bad deals? Why should we knowingly let our customers buy something that we think is not the best deal around? And people trust us because they know that we give them the best deal around. So in some sense, it's kind of a simple argument. We serve customers and we are not going to do them wrong. And for Prime and logistics, they say, look, we have made billions of dollars of investments in these warehouses and let sellers use it. That this has actually made it very easy for sellers to build businesses. You can build a business without being a supply chain person. You can just be great at coming up with this really cool new toy for kids or whatever it is. They say that it's very well priced, which most sellers I talk to say it is true. And they say it's very easy and it's actually unlocked this business for so many people and let so many sellers get something that customers love, which is this unbelievably fast and reliable delivery that we all know and that makes so many things so simple. I would say broadly, their argument is the FTC has this totally upside down. Amazon says that they are the most customer-obsessed company in the world and that every decision they make is what is best for customers. We are going to show them the best deal. We are going to get them things fastest, that they do things with the customer in mind. That has had an effect of creating this whole world of sellers that didn't really exist, that it's lowered prices broadly over time, that it's just made this whole ecosystem work, essentially in a way that customers clearly love because they keep coming back for more. But in theory and in practice, it's possible for two things to be true at the same time. And that's what the government is going to say in response to Amazon's response, which is you can be a customer-focused company, you can be great at delivering fast discounted products to customers, and you can simultaneously be making life very hard for sellers by eliminating their choice through coercive tactics that ultimately, over time, might be bad for consumers as well. There's two sides of this coin. It's like what is good in the Amazon universe for Amazon customers and what is good for customers broadly. Are we missing out on things that we don't even know? Are we paying more than we even realize we need to be? Are there other websites, other companies that could have started up and done things differently that we don't even know? It's like, what don't we know? What don't we know because we so thoroughly live in Amazon's world? So that, of course, raises the question of what will happen to Amazon if it loses this case. And what does the government really want here in the end? Does it want to basically turn back the clock to a time where Amazon doesn't so thoroughly dictate the terms of the American retail landscape? If that is the goal, what might that look like? So the government doesn't exactly say what they want. They don't say we are going to break Amazon up. They say they just want to undo these things. And what Amazon says is that it's going to force them to unwind all these things that customers love. They won't be able to offer their prices. They won't be able to make it as easy, as simple as possible. These are the things that keep us coming back for more. All these things they have to unwind it, and that's very hard to do. What happens with this case? Only time will tell. Amazon has made big changes in how we shop, essentially with their super speedy Prime shipping, even if you don't use Prime. They have become faster than ever by setting up a lot of warehouses during the pandemic, and they're delivering things really quickly. They have basically shown us how to shop online, and it's become ingrained in our habits as consumers. No matter what happens with this case, it will be really tough, even impossible, to change the way Amazon has rewired our shopping habits. They have taught us that we can just go to their website, click buy, and the item arrives on our doorstep the same day. It's a hard habit to break. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.